Long ago, in a quiet village beside a dark forest, there lived a poor but kind girl named Alina. She lived with her old grandmother in a tiny wooden house. They had little food and old clothes, but Alina always helped others with a smile. Every morning, Alina carried water from the river and collected firewood from the forest. One cold evening, while searching for dry wood, she heard a soft crying sound. "Help me! Please help me!" Alina looked around carefully. Near an old tree covered with vines, she saw something shining. As she moved the branches away, she became shocked. A beautiful fairy with silver wings was trapped in heavy Gaiden chains. The fairy looked weak and sad. Her glowing wings could not move. "Who chained you here?" Alina asked softly. "A cruel sorcerer," the fairy replied. "He wanted my magic crystal, but I refused, so he trapped me in these chains deep inside the forest." Alina felt pity for her. "I will help you," she said bravely. The fairy shook her head sadly. "These chains can only break with 3 acts of true kindness. No magic can remove them." Alina did not understand, but she promised to try. The next morning, while walking home, Alina saw an old, hungry man sitting beside the road. She had only one small loaf of bread for herself and her grandmother. Still, she gave half of it to the man. "Thank you, child," he said, with watery eyes. Far away in the forest, one chain around the fairy suddenly cracked. That night, Alina visited the fairy again. "One chain is broken," the fairy said with hope. "Your kindness is powerful." The second day, heavy rain flooded part of the village. A little boy became trapped near the river. The villagers were afraid of the strong water. Without thinking of danger, Alina ran into the cold river and saved the crying boy. When she returned home, tired and wet,
Another chain broke from the fairy's hands. "You are closer now," the fairy said happily when Alina visited again. But the last chain was the strongest. The next morning, Alina and her grandmother discovered they had no food left at all. Winter was coming, and they were already very poor. As Alina walked sadly through the market, she saw a woman holding a sick baby. The woman was crying because she had no money to buy medicine. Alina looked at the small silver coin in her hand. It was the last money she and her grandmother had. For a moment, she felt afraid. "If I give this away, what will happen to us?" she thought. But then she remembered the fairy's sad eyes. Alina gave the coin to the woman. "Please buy medicine for your baby," she said kindly. The woman began to cry with happiness. At that exact moment, a bright light filled the forest. The final chain shattered into pieces. The fairy was finally free. That evening, the fairy appeared before Alina's tiny house, surrounded by sparkling light. Her silver wings glowed like the moon. "You freed me with the power of your pure heart," the fairy said warmly. "You helped others even when you had almost nothing." The fairy waved her hand gently. Suddenly, the old broken house transformed into a beautiful home. Their empty kitchen filled with fresh food, warm blankets, and firewood for winter. Alina's grandmother smiled with tears in her eyes. "But the greatest reward," the fairy said, "is not gold or magic.
It is the kindness inside you. Before leaving, the fairy gave Alina a small glowing flower. As long as this flower blooms, happiness will stay in your home. Then, the fairy flew high into the night sky,
Finally free after many years. From that day onward, Alina became known across the village as the girl with the purest heart. People learned from her kindness and began helping one another more often. And every night, the magical flower beside her window glowed softly under the moonlight. True kindness is the strongest magic in the world. When we help others with a pure heart, goodness always returns to us.